With Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook, this is Racing Dreams.
Hello and welcome to Racing Dreams, and we've got to start with a thank you to all our viewers. Last Saturday, the first time I think, we were the #1 watch show on Sky News, so great to have you on board, and we have a huge show, don't we, Jules?
We certainly do. Good morning to you, Timmy. Good morning to you at home. Do stick around. We're here for another 8 weeks. Please don't go anywhere. Keep watching us. We've got a big show today because it is a big day at Royal Randwick. Group 1 racing is back on the cards, and some of our favourites are back on track as well. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. We've got the 2-year-olds, we've got the Riesling and the Todman, and Giga Kick is racing today. Eduardo!
Oh, Eddie.
It's at 9 years of age, nearly $8 million. It's a huge show.
It is a big one indeed. All right, let's take a look what is coming up this morning.
Champion trainer Joe Pride will join us live. We just mentioned it. 9-year-old Eduardo lines up to defend the Challenge Stakes.
Part 2 of our feature with James McDonald this morning as he and Animo continue their incredible partnership.
And one of the true gentlemen of racing calls time on his career. Glenn Schofield pops in here for a chat. Well, there's not much James McDonald hasn't done or won, from an Everest to a Hong Kong Cup, and most recently the title of World's Best Jockey last week. He and Animo teamed up for a brilliant victory in the Chipping Norton.
It's incredible to watch. So what race still eludes the star of the track, which is a very interesting question indeed. Here is part 2 of my sit down with James McDonald.
Romantic Warrior, he's well clear in the Hong Kong Cup. He's 3 lengths over Money Catcher, Denon the Kid. He is the perfect racehorse, Romantic Warrior, and he's now a Hong Kong Cup winner. Romantic Warrior by 5 for James McDonald.
What did you find in your time overseas in terms of thoughts around racing here in Australia at the moment? How well placed we are? What's the rest of the world making of racing here?
Well, it's on everyone's lips. You have a look at all those horses that have nominated for the Queen Elizabeth, the Doncasters, the Rambets leading into it. They're not just coming here for one run. They're coming here for a campaign, and it's only going to get bigger. But we've just seen the all-age stakes. The last Group 1 of the basically Autumn Carnival has gone a significant amount up in prize money as well, which is just a testament to the calibre of horse that we've got racing here and the great racing that we put on. I think it's so competitive. You go to anywhere around the world, you have a look at Hong Kong where Australian, New Zealand horses are competing at just so well anywhere. So take nature strips and horses overseas, they compete. We've got the best product here, and it's great racing, great atmosphere. It's not, there's so much to have here, you know.
And the Super Stallion Animo races to the lead and kicked away from Moonga Fangirl, and then came Laws of Indices, but here's Group 1 win, number 8 for the great Animo, destroys them in the Chipping Norton.
And what about Animo? I tell you what, wouldn't it be nice for you, as you mentioned it yourself, if that chapter finished over in Ascot?
He's just been a really, really top horse to us as well. He's the king, you know. Like when you hop on a horse like that, you just know you just rise. You feel like you're 6 foot tall, and he's come back in classy fashion. I get goosebumps talking about him because it's quite sad to think he's probably only got 3 runs. I'm only going to ride him for 3 more times, you know. So hopefully it's culminating in the Royal Ascot, and then he starts his new chapter, which, if he was a gelding, he'd probably carry on for a lot longer. But he's just a tradesman. He goes out there, does his thing. He's got a lot of swag, and yeah, he's a brute.
You like those ones?
Yeah, I do. Well, they make you feel good, don't they? Just bulletproof.
Who else are you looking forward to teaming up with this autumn?
I'm really looking forward to Zugotcha. I think she's just a classy filly. She had that little setback, which I wouldn't worry about too much. So she resumes in the Surround Stakes. Af Cabin, he looks a absolute jet at the moment. So hopefully he can carry on his winning ways. Lightly raced 3-year-old too. So I think I gave out a ooh la la with him last time, so I'm hoping he can hold that in good stead.
I often ask you what's the goal for the season or what's the goal for the year ahead,
What was last year's?
You keep ticking off all the goals and achieving everything. So where are we up to this year?
One I'd really love to win is a Doncaster. I think a Randwick Mile. It's been close a few times, but just haven't hit the nail in yet. But yeah, a Donny maybe. We'll go to Donny.
When James says he wants something, James typically goes out and gets it.
Everyone wants him. Is he the best ever? Who knows?
Well, time will tell. Well, we have another big day today at Royal Randwick, headlined by the Group 1 Guineas and Canterbury Stakes, but a fan favourite also makes a return to the track today, the grand old man of racing, Eduardo.
At 9 years of age and close to $8 million in prize money, he's looking to go back-to-back in the Challenge Stakes. And joining us live is his trainer, Joe Pride. And Joe, there's the man at the moment over your shoulder.
Tim, yep.
He is just a fantastic racehorse, isn't he, Joe?
He is, yeah. He really enjoys what he does, and I guess that's been, one of the keys in keeping him going for this long is his enthusiasm, and wakes up with a spring in his step every morning.
Does he know he's one of the great sprinters, or does he think he's a pony club pony back there?
Oh, he's pretty spoiled, so I'm thinking he knows he's pretty special. And these older horses, they get to the races and they know when they've done well. I think it's all part of the persona and part of the makeup of a good horse. They know what they're there for.
He's relatively light raced when you're talking in terms of 9-year-old horses, and you use a unique brand of training to keep them in good nick. Tell us a bit more about the way you go about it.
Yeah, look, my horses, I guess there's a few different aspects to it, but they swim twice a day. We feed once a day. Just a lot of slow work with them, a lot of one-on-one contact with them, a lot of walking, and I don't know, they just seem to respond to what we do. Particularly this old horse, he's been fantastic for us. So I hate when people call him old, so I won't call him old either. He's feeling great. I'm sure he's going to run us a great race today.
No one likes to be called old, Joe. How is he? He looks very relaxed there this morning, but how's he come back this prep?
No, really good. Particularly pleased with his second trial. He's not a horse who turns up and does his best in his trials. He saves that for race day, but he's been fantastic. He's had, as I say, a really nice preparation into this. Very happy to see that rain turn up there yesterday at Randwick, and he loves a bit of sting out of the ground, so there'll be no excuses for him there today. Loves 1,000 metres, track record holder at Randwick, so no, he's well suited.
Jump to the front lead. The winner of the Everest Giga Kicks in the race. We've got Remark, and we spoke to John Massara last week. They have big expectations of Remark, possibly in the Everest himself. Look at him just sitting there. He knows he's there.
Sorry, it's hard to take it seriously.
A bit like a scene from Mr. Ed. But yeah, it's an interesting race.
Yeah, no, it is. He's got the speed, and we'll be using that today, utilising that, and. I couldn't be happy with his preparation. He's in great shape, and he'll show that today at Randwick, I'm sure.
What is the autumn ahead looking like for him?
Look, it's dependent on how he comes up, but there's quite a few options. There's a race or two in Brisbane as well, so we'll just take him through them. And we don't know how many more preps we get with him, so every opportunity to run him, we will. But he's a horse who also is only really eligible or able to get into a few races on the calendar, given his success over the years.
Can he race into his 10th year?
Pardon me? Can
he race as a 10-year-old, do you think? Are you confident of that?
Yes. Yeah, no, I think he could. He's in great order. From the point of view of him, basically no arthritis anywhere on the horse's body. He's just he's in great shape. He wasn't broken in until he was 4 years old, and that sort of preserved his body, and with only 31 starts on his CV, it's not like he's been over-raced.
Another stablemate of his, I'd hate to take the attention away from Eddie, but Private Eye, how's Private Eye faring?
He's 4 boxes down to my left there, and he's in great shape. So he goes to Melbourne next week to run in the Newmarket, and he's never been better. I'm really pleased when he's come through his trials well, and he's in great shape. Pretty casual, lazy sort of horse on the track and in his trials, but turns up race day with his A game every time.
How do you reflect on the Everest?
Look, possibly, one that got away, but at the same time, it was a great effort from him. And I just feel like he's a sort of horse that could be around for a few more years yet, and I can't help but think he'll get another opportunity at it.
What do you make of this talk of age and, you know, we're just watching the Everest back now. Nature Strip, a lot of talk about, you know, is he ready for retirement? I mean, you said yourself you don't like to call Eddie old at 9 years of age, but I suppose we're approaching that changing of the guard with these sprinters, aren't we?
Yeah, of course. And, you know, all good things come to an end. Yeah, we can't go on forever. But, yeah, we'll take that one race at a time. They're a long time retired. And, as I said, he still enjoys what he does, and that's the main thing.
You've got some good horses in some staying races. Stockman, I really like it.
Yeah, he's just over to my right here. Actually, he lives beside Eduardo. So, no, he's in good order, and he'll be looking at, you know, probably going back to the Sydney Cup again. He'll race next Saturday at Rose Hill, but come up really well, and he'll particularly enjoy it if we get a bit of a wet autumn. He's a great wet tracker.
And what about this lightly raced 4-year-old of yours? Think about it, impressive in the City Cup recently as well.
Yeah, he's very promising. He's having a couple of weeks in the paddock, and he'll come back and looking to take him to Brisbane, but he'll have a run or two before he hits the Stradbroke. That would be, you know, hopefully the ultimate goal for him.
Joe, thank you so much, mate. They're sensational pictures, and to get you on race day is fantastic. And I just want to thank all the people. 98% of people make themselves available. There's always a percentage that don't, but for the people that make themselves available, like you, on a day like today, as Eduardo's giving you a little kiss, they just make the show. You make the show. So thanks so much, and have a great day at Randwick. We'll see you out there.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Eddie. Oh, Eddie just looks like a big pony.
Were they great pictures?
Such good pictures. Well, we've just talked about Giga Kick very, very briefly there. Let's take a look at this jockey cam vision captured by jockey Craig Williams. Now, this is Giga Kick's last jump out before today's Challenge Stakes.
Wait, buddy.
Righty out.
Thanks.
So the reigning Everest champ does go into today's Challenge Stakes as favourite, and you look at this vision and you can see why he finishes so strongly, and it's such a great insight into how he's travelling, and a great view as well.
Yeah, and the scientist on board, Craig Williams, of course, he said to them last year, the connections of Giga Kick, that I think that this horse can do it. It was a remarkable win. We saw the Everest a short time back, and a young trainer, Clayton Douglas. I'm going to try and catch up with Clayton out there today, so we'll hear from him on Racing Dreams over the next few weeks. But yeah, it's some sort of race, isn't it? Giga Kick, Remark. We heard what John Massara and Arrowfield think of him last week. So
can Eddie go back to back?
Yeah.
Time will tell. We'll see this afternoon.
Absolutely. Well, what a day at Royal Randwick today. From the 2-year-olds to Giga Kick and Eduardo.
We are just 1 week out from the official start of the Autumn Racing Carnival. That's where we find the ATC's Brett Devine at Royal Randwick this morning. Good morning to you, Brett.
Good morning to you, Julie and Tim. Good morning to all the punters across Australia, New Zealand, the rest of the world. They've all come to Royal Randwick. They come to your show, and how good is it here? You've spoken about a couple of stars already in Giga Kick and Eduardo, the young and the old, and we've got a huge day here coming up.
Yeah, let's have a look at the 2-year-olds, because we've got the best of the boys, the best of the girls, and the two favourites for the Golden Slipper, one in the Colts race and one in the Fillies.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, in the Colts, in the Todman Stakes, it's those famous trainers, Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott, with this hot favourite, Red Resistance. And wow, what a horse he is. He just gets out in front and he just keeps on going. So he's the favourite there today in the boys division of the University of New South Wales Todman Stakes. And of course, the ruling Longines Golden Slipper favourite, Learning to Fly, the filly. She has done it at both ends as well. She's been up on speed and winning at Rose Hill, and then a phenomenal win in the English Millennium here at Royal Randwick a few weeks ago for her trainer, Annabelle Neesham. So just two of the first two favourites in the Longines Golden Slipper. More will play out here today with those races. There's other horses running today in Cafe Millennium for John O'Shea in the Colts division. Well, wait till you see the size of that horse, Tim and Julie. He is a monster. Doesn't he get over some ground? And it's just all set up. We're only 2 weeks away from that race that shapes the racing and breeding industry like no other, the Longines Golden Slipper, on the biggest day of Group 1 racing in the country at Rosehill Gardens. It's the official start next week, but it feels like we've already started a few weeks ago, especially with you guys coming back on air as well for the autumn. So we're really, really excited about this racing here today, not only with these 2-year-olds but others that we may mention in a moment. But that Longines Golden Slipper really is that iconic race in Sydney, isn't it? That race that everybody is watching around the world, and as I say, it shapes the industry like no other in this country. Can the filly do it? Can the colt do it? Or will something else emerge?
Yeah, and it is just around the corner. Well, the Randwick Guineas is the first leg of the Sydney Autumn 3-year-old Group 1 Triple Crown. And what a field. And, I mean, James Cummings, he's just on fire.
Well, those famous Godolphin, world-famous Godolphin blue colours, they're always around, aren't they, in these big races? And again, Aft Cabin is the favourite today in the Agency Randwick Guineas, a race, as you say, that kicks off the Triple Crown, Julie, of the Randwick Guineas here today, the Rosehill Guineas in a couple of weeks, and then the big ATC Australian Derby here at Royal Randwick. So Aft Cabin, he's got a brilliant turn of foot, and he's obviously the favourite here today. You've got a couple there chasing him, though, in Zoo Tiger for John O'Shea and Machelate for Mark Newman as well. Unfortunately, Ozapenko, one of the favourites, had to be withdrawn this morning. He had a slight temperature, nothing too dramatic, but with the care that goes into these racehorses and the time that gets put into them, there's no risks taken. You might have a slight headache, that's enough to make sure that if they need a bit of medication, they can't run. So well looked after, Ozapenko. But today on the track, Aft Cabin, the favourite. That man again, James McDonald, who you spoke to earlier in the show, on board, certainly going to be the one to beat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With him back on board, it wasn't Tim Clark's finest hour last time because things just didn't go right in that race for Aft Cabin, but I think it's going to be a very different story today. Now, some of the Sydney form, of course, a huge day at Flemington today as well with the Australian Guineas and other races, but Jacquino.
Yeah, big day of racing across the country, isn't it? And, of course, another Guineas down there. And Jacquino, well, we know him here in Sydney because he won one of our big Group 1s here in spring in the Golden Rose, and what a storming finish that was. And look, the eyes of the country are on racing always, aren't they, at this time of year in autumn? Certainly we're very proud of what happens here in Sydney, but certainly a lot of trainers and looking for big prize money down there, a lot of Sydney trainers as well. So look, Jacquino, he's the head there in heading the markets in that Guineas at Flemington. We'll be watching it here with interest in Sydney and also keeping an eye on all the stars on our track here.
Of course, we've got the Group 1 Canterbury Stakes, but as we've just heard from Joe Pride, we also have the Challenge Stakes. And how lucky are we here in Sydney to have the likes of Eduardo back on track and, of course, the reigning Everest champ, Giga Kick?
Yeah, you couldn't really find two more different horses, could you, Jules? Look, Giga Kick, everybody has seen that footage. What a beautiful-looking horse he is, of him winning the Tab Everest here in the spring. A storming finish, wasn't it? And he's back here to the scene of the crime as a young horse looking to kick off his campaign and go into a TJ Smith Stakes. But Eduardo, wow, what a popular horse he is. Great stuff there from Joe Pride, and you can see him on race morning getting ready. This would be his third consecutive Challenge Stakes if he can win 3 in a row, and only 2 legendary sprinters at Randwick, Razor Sharp and At Sea, have done that. So Eduardo would be in rarefied company. He's so popular because he just gets up on speed and he's so tough to run down. He's duked it out with Nature Strip so many times, and the punters here love him. So he'll be out in front. Giga Kick will be chasing. Remark there, stalking them both in behind. Set up for one of the great races here. There's plenty of big races on today, but that one, I'm sure, will certainly be one of the favourite races of the day.
I was going to try and segue and say there's whippersnippers in your background, and I was going to talk about Michael Wood, but that sounds more like a grinder, whatever's going on. But I do want to ask you about the track, because I listened to your interview with, of course, with Michael, who runs and looks after the track at Randwick, and Sean does a fantastic job at Rose Hill, and they're the 2 places that we race on Saturdays. And it looks like it is just cherry ripe. The track is in fantastic order.
Yeah, look, it is in great order, and 12 months ago these guys were tearing their hair out. They needed a leaf blower, Tim, to be able to fix their hair up because they were under a deluge of water. Well, we've only had 24 mils of rain overnight. When I say only, that's brought that track into a soft 6 range, but Michael's very confident that it's on that better side of 6 and may move back into a better reading of a 5 through the day if we don't have any more rain. 24 mils overnight, but this track is really coping with that rain exceptionally well. We had 2 metres of rain over a 12-month period last year, so it's really just a drop in the ocean for Mick and his team. And Sean, I know, is doing a marvellous job out there getting ready for their big turn in for 3 weeks as we start next week at Rose Hill. So a lot goes into the preparation of these tracks, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, and it's all about keeping those horses on the best and most comfortable, safest racing surfaces. But we're an outdoor sport, and that's why we need those leaf blowers. I'll make sure that they're right next week, Tim.
That's funny. Just make sure the pies are hot because I'm coming out today. It'll be a cracking day. Thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Yeah, my pleasure. Can I just quickly throw to there's a big function on here today for the Nolan Foundation, great friends of ours, and this is the 10th anniversary. Google Nolan Foundation donations. It's a great cause for cancer research. We thank and love Nolan for her support, and I'll be joining them a little bit later today to raise some funds and awareness for cancer research. So hopefully, if you've got a few spare dollars, Google that and see what you can do for Nolan, and good luck to all the punters. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Brett. We appreciate your time. Well, stay with us. Coming up, champion jockey Glenn Schofield is live in studio as we reflect on his remarkable career. Welcome back. You're watching Racing Dreams. Well, our next guest is a champion international jockey, a 38-time Group 1 winner and a true gentleman of the sport. I just adore him.
Yeah, absolutely. After 3 decades at the top, Glenn Schofield has hung up the boots, if we can say the boots, or whatever else, your silks. How are you, mate?
Good, Tim.
So was this something that just happened, or had you been leading up to it in your mind?
Yeah, I'd probably been leading up to it in my mind. Obviously, being the older person in the jockey room in a young man's sport probably is not a great fit, and opportunities sort of slide by. But yeah, it came a time where it dawned on me that it was time to stop. Yeah.
We caught up last year, I believe it was, and we had a chat after your injury. You came back. You were feeling good physically. You look sensational. Why now?
Well, I had that neck injury and surgery just over a year ago, and I thought I was feeling pretty good, and I gave it a good kick, and rode quite a few winners in that period. But I think it's now time to just let the young guys carry on, and I'll watch it from afar.
Tell us about the wonder of it. Tell us about the magic of doing what you did for so long.
Well, I was watching some of the jockey cam on Giga Kick, and I was sitting in the room out the back, and all of a sudden, all the technicians were on the screen saying, "Oh, we love this shot." And if you can get a sense of enjoyment just by watching it, can you imagine what the feel we get actually being in that? It's the sensation of just being out there with these fantastic animals and competing at the highest level. That's just something you can't beat.
You started at 16 years of age. You moved to Australia eventually in 2008. You've talked about being accepted here and performing here in Australia against some of the best, alongside some of the best in the world. How important was it for you to be accepted by these ladies and gents here in the jockey room? And how do we fare compared to the rest of the world?
They're not very polite sometimes in that jockey room.
We don't need to hear what they actually say.
You're not polite when you get beat. But no, look, racing's a great social sport. The way the world is, racing's become a lot smaller and closer. And it's when I first remember thinking about Australia or English racing, being from South Africa, it was so far away. But everything's just so close now. I think obviously having ridden internationally before coming here, meeting a few of the people that were here before, gave me a little bit of an easier sort of pathway into it, but I was really well received, and I've loved every minute I've been here.
And give us a bit of an insight into the horse. We always say it on this program, and I think I've mentioned it so many times, my wife is a great horse lover. They live in our backyard and they get treated better than I do. But these horses will not run fast unless they want to, will they? They love to run.
Well, I think that's what that's their natural thing. They've got 4 legs, they run in the wild. That's what they'd be doing. We just sort of point them in the right direction, really, and let them all run together. And the fastest one gives everybody a lot of enjoyment at the end of it. It's fantastic. Horses won't run if they don't want to, and they run.
Chautauqua showed us that. Chautauqua said, "I'm done."
Yeah, I'm in his shoes.
You must be very proud of your son as well, Chad.
Yeah, well, today's a big day out at Randwick, but extremely proud of what Chad's done in a short period of time. Your kids give you great enjoyment, and I've achieved. I've said this before. I've achieved a lot and I've been fortunate to do that. But watching your kids achieve is something extra special.
You have achieved a lot, and I suppose this is probably a very difficult question to answer, but has there been a particular career highlight, a moment that really stands out to you?
A few personal ones, but obviously it's very hard to pick one. But for me, the biggest sense of elation I've ever had was when Chad won the Cox Plate. You know, I think I'd ridden 3 or 4 winners at Randwick or Rose Hill that day, and then a few of the boys stayed after the last to watch the Cox Plate, and that was just amazing. It really was. But notwithstanding that, I mean, riding in Hong Kong and winning a couple of their nice races was, you know, it was a dream of mine to get out of South Africa and compete internationally, and that was a big tick for me. But now it's just time to sit back and watch the rest, and, you know, some fantastic racing today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
From the 2-year-olds to seeing Eduardo. We just mentioned that at 9 years of age, and Joe just mentioned he could race well beyond his 10th birthday. Just one thing back to Chad there for a second, and that was a great win in the Weight for Age Championship of Australia. I've got 3 kids myself. Julie's now a mum. You watch your kids participate, and my kids play sport, contact sport. You live it with them. Do you feel a bit of the nerves as you watch him? Because, you know what it's like. You've had things not go completely right sometimes. Oh yeah, I remember when Chad first started, I wouldn't ride when he was riding. I would just go there and watch and sort of try and give him some advice. And he was this big, and he weighed nothing, and he had a fall very early on at Hawkesbury, and he smashed his arm and his wrist and his elbow, and happened just after they straightened. And I remember jumping the fence and running up that Hawkesbury straight, and the fear of what could be, what you're going to arrive at, you just don't really know. And fortunately, it was just a smashed elbow and a wrist. But, you know, there's been a lot of injuries that can happen that are a lot worse than that. So, you know, you live with that fear in the back of your minds. When you're riding yourself, you don't ever think of that. But now that you're watching, you know, your own flesh and blood do it, it has a different sort of feeling about it. Right, yeah.
It's been a remarkable career. You are such a wonderful person. We really appreciate you coming in studio. And I believe you've got your own little show coming up now too.
Yeah.
Trying to take our jobs from us.
Well, I won't be taking your jobs, I hope. But I've been invited onto a racing and sporting podcast called BTFU, which hopefully starts next week. We'll be doing some racing and various sports with some specialists in their field doing that. So I'm hopefully going to be steering some people into some good things on the racetrack. But as I was saying, I was sitting out there earlier, listening to you introduce your previous guests, and I was sitting out there and you introduced the old great grandfather of racing, and I thought, well, I'm not there. You were talking about Eduardo. We were. Not you.
Congratulations on a wonderful career.
Thanks very much.
Really amazing career, and all the best with the next phase. This is a really growth industry podcast, so we'll be downloading it. And thanks for coming on the show.
Great. Thanks for having me. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Well, trainer Mark Newnham knew from a young age that he also wanted to work with horses. He even convinced his parents to let him leave school early.
He did. I know his dad, John, very well, and he said, can you come down to Holy Cross ride, Dad? I don't think I can finish. I just want to work with horses. And he's done it all, stable hand, strapper. Of course, he's a very accomplished jockey. Mark is now one of the industry's leading trainers, and I caught up with him for Racing Dreams. So, Mark Newnham, it's a wonderful hospitality area now, the jockey's room, but that was where you rode out of.
Yeah, exactly. They've got the new one there under the stand now, but that's where I used to sit, and now it's the part of the winner's room, which I'm still quite happy to go in there.
Absolutely. What was it like? It's such a beautiful old stand, and I love this part of Royal Randwick.
Yeah, look, it's great. I'm glad they've kept it. And look, when you do go in there, you can see, they've left some of the original bench seats and things where we used to sit. And look, it certainly needed updating, but it's got a bit of character.
All right. What about King Frankel? Mighty horse.
Yeah, really exciting stayer. And generally, what you find from these Euros is that their second prep they improve again. So what he was able to do in his first preparation, 4 starts, 3 wins, and he won the Beaufort there at Newcastle by a big space in good time at his first run for us over a trip at 2300. So look, he's on a Sydney Cup path. We get there with around 51 kilos with Tyler Schiller on board. hopefully it ends well.
How's he looking at this stage?
Yeah, no, really pleased with him. He looks like he's built up a bit from his first prep here. He came here as a colt and was gelded, and probably took a while to acclimatise to being gelded and to the weather. But we started him off at Newcastle in only a very ordinary Class 1 and maiden plate, and he won by about 8. On very heavy ground, but he's done it on good ground, so whatever the autumn brings shouldn't be too daunting for him.
Well, there are mitigating circumstances, but he did win a race Secretariat style by 32 lengths in Europe.
Yeah, and that was his only win there. He won his maiden by a huge space. There was only 3 runners, but he did win it and win it well.
What about Marcellado?
Yeah, really nice 3-year-old colt. His form in the spring, he was unlucky in the Dulcify when beaten by Sharp and Smart, and then he ran a really good race here in the Spring Champion and was probably just not quite mature enough. He was only beaten 3/4 of a length to finish 4th. And that form's been terrific. Sharp and Smart's gone on and run 2nd in the Victoria Derby, and then he won a Group 1 in New Zealand just last week.
Will Big Parade pop his head up at all through the autumn? Only back in work over the next couple of weeks?
Oh, more likely the end of Brisbane. He's had to have an extended break, but I'm sure he'll come back in good shape, as you've seen with our best sprinters in the last few years. They've been older geldings, so he's 6 going on 7, so with not a lot of miles on the clock, so there's plenty of racing left in him.
What was it like having a runner in the Everest?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was a great experience all round. Myself, the stable, the owners, everyone enjoyed the whole theatre of it and the events that went with it. So hopefully we get there again this year.
Absolutely, and just finally, the autumn, it is exciting. The weather's beautiful and it's a great time of year for Sydney racing.
Yeah, look, hopefully we get through an autumn this year with fine weather and good tracks. Last year was a real slog. But look, that's if your horses handle wet tracks and that's what they serve up, it's in your favour. But look, so far we've started off on some nice tracks with some good horses resuming in the last few weeks, and it looks like an exciting time ahead.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Sacramento's labouring now. It's Banjo and King Frankel slugging it out. King Frankel trying his heart out, trying to get past Banjo. King Frankel lifts, wins the Parramatta Cup in a great war down the straight.
Welcome back to Racing Dreams. As we know, owning a part of a racehorse can be so much fun when you own it with a group of your mates. And that horse wins, well, that takes it to a whole new level.
Oh, absolutely, Jules. And that is the case with our next group of guests. There are so many incentives now for women to get together and buy a horse, like the girls have done with Ruby Kisses. Good morning, ladies. How are we?
Hey. Good morning. Well, of course, this syndicate owns 4-year-old mare by the name of Ruby Kisses. Tell us, Di, how did this all come about?
Oh, we just had a network of women through Equicom syndications. We were approached by Phil Bishop, and it's just, our friends contacting us and saying, we've got to do this, let's get into racing and learn about racing and have some fun together, and we've certainly been doing that.
Oh, you're all absolutely beaming. I love the smiles. Deb, can you put in your words? Yeah, can you put in your words how good this is and how much you've enjoyed the ride?
We have had so much fun just going to the races, meeting people from all walks of life that we'd never met before in some cases, getting our videos, updates every morning from the jockeys, from the trainers, from everybody involved in Ruby Kisses. It's been fantastic, to the point where some of us have bought more than one.
Well, we can't help but notice, and I'm quite envious, you're all holding a glass of champagne there this morning. Ruby Kisses has won 4 races in her career to date, but most recently the Canterbury Night Sprint Series final. Sal, I mean, what a thrill that must have been.
Oh, so exciting. The way that she came home down the straight was just so exciting. It was so exciting. So, yeah.
We were very happy to see her turbo work.
Yeah. And the jockey did a fabulous job.
Yeah.
And a lot of screaming from the grandstand.
Oh, I can imagine. And you would have, here comes Ruby Kisses now down the outside. Yes, and you were all wearing the right colours. And one of the beautiful things about Canterbury on a Friday night, you would have eaten well as well because all the food trucks out there. Now, Sal, just what's it like being with all your friends? That's what I love. Look, I've had the fantastic opportunity to win a couple of races with friends. It's magic, isn't it?
It's absolutely magic, and the best thing about being an all-female syndication is that we all love to go to the races anyway, but we've actually met new friends, and when we go, regardless of whether we win or not, it's such a great time for women to be together. Of course, all-female syndication, Katie Page has a very important, she's a good advocate and supporter of women in sport, especially women in racing. So for us to all get together, and also in other female syndications, like most of us are brought into another female syndication. So knowing that we'll all get together, we'll meet new friends and have a great time.
And the bonuses are great through Magic Millions races.
Yes.
Ruby Kisses has done very well with those.
So we've won four races.
No.
Yeah, we've won 4. Go.
Yeah. Go, Jack. We've won 4 races. She's won $200,000 in Magic Million all-female syndicate bonuses, and she's also won. She's won $200,000 just on her races.
It's been a merry ride, and it's not over yet. The Ruby Kiss is going to continue to kiss the victory stride. And can we get a big cheers for Ruby Kisses? And thanks for coming on the show, my friends.
Ruby.
Cheers, Ruby.
Love it.
Cheers, ladies. Well done. I'm very, very jealous. That looks quite refreshing at this time of the day. Well, there is a record number of international runners aiming for a host of Sydney Autumn Carnival feature races this season. The impressive roster of internationals features 10 nominations from leading Northern Hemisphere trainers Joseph O'Brien, William Haggis and Aidan O'Brien. Meantime, New Zealand stables have 75 nominations across all 10 feature races. Timmy?
The overseas contingent are hunting down success in the likes of the Sydney Cup, the Queen Elizabeth Stakes and the Doncaster. Of particular interest will be the return of horses from Japan.
Yeah, look, we've already got a large contingent of European horses, but I think it'll be exciting to have a couple of Japanese horses entering quarantine next week for the championships, and we're really looking forward to welcoming back Japanese participation for the first time since 2019. Some particularly exciting horses because they're trained by, I believe, one of the best trainers in not only Japan but amongst the very best in the world, Yoshido Yahagi, who was successful in the Saudi Cup with Panthalassa just over the weekend.
Yeah, they're all coming, and James Ross, of course, there from the Australian Turf Club.
Get your pen and your paper out. It's that time of the week. Brad Gray joins us up next for a look at this weekend's tips. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Racing Dreams. 10 races at Royal Randwick today, headlined by the Group 1 Guineas and Canterbury Stakes.
Let's bring in the male model from Miranda, ladies and gentlemen, Brad Gray. Good morning, Brad. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you, guys. The male model from Miranda. Unfortunately, guys,
I've been working on that all week.
Where do I go to from there?
You don't go anywhere.
Workshopping.
All right, let's take a look at today's racing. It is a big day at Royal Randwick. We heard from Brett earlier in the show that the track's looking at about a soft 6 after 24 mil of rain overnight.
Yeah, so I don't think that changes too much, to be honest. We're in for a good day as far as the weather goes for the rest of the afternoon, so you'd think we'd probably get back to a 5, maybe even a 4 come the last. So the track I expected to play really fairly, and every runner gets their chance. Unfortunately, though, from the Guineas, we've lost Osipenko, so that Lamborghini that I had on hold will have to wait for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, big focus on the 2-year-olds today with the Todman and the Riesling, Red Resistance and Learning to Fly.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it, as far as the Golden Slipper picture goes? So this is real moving day. We're only a couple of weeks out. So in the fillies, we've got the Riesling Learn to Fly, $1.55. She's hard to tip against, so she's undefeated to this point. Do you want to take a price that short? It's probably the right price, especially now we've lost Kundalini out of the race. Only a field of 4. She's got versatility. If she wants to lead, she can. As far as the Colts division goes, this is a little bit more interesting because you've got Red Resistance as the favourite, but the likes of Cylinder breathing down his neck, and the same can be said for Cafe Millennium. Now, if none of your viewers have seen the win of Cafe Millennium on debut, go back and have a look at the replay. You can check it out on the Racing New South Wales website. He is a giraffe. He looks like he has no idea what he's doing, and he came screaming down the outside. This race, though, I think is set up for Red Resistance. I wouldn't be surprised to see him firm come Golden Slipper calculations. Now, looking at the recent history of this race, guys, the Todman, the last 3 horses to do the Todman Golden Slipper double, Piero, Vancouver and Farnan. Now, the one common theme there is they're all trained by Gai Waterhouse. So, is that a little omen today for Red Resistance to potentially do that double himself?
Oh, good little bit of background there, Bradley. Race 6, the Challenge Stakes, Everest champ going up against the Warhorse in Eduardo.
Yeah, the old boy, I'm with him as well, Eddie. Old boy Eddie, he's 9, but someone forgot to tell him that he's 9 because he was racing as well as ever, at least at the start of last campaign. He did trail off a little bit, but you go back through his first up record for Joe Pride, he's raced 5 times fresh and he's won 4 of them. So he chases the 3-peat today as far as the Challenge Stakes goes, and he's beaten Nature Strip on both of those occasions. Won't have to worry about Nature Strip here. Straight to the front, catch me if you can. And I think the rain around for him is a blessing because he loves getting his toe in. So Nasruilla, we know it's a match made in heaven. And although Giga Kick is the new kid on the block, he's going to know he's in for a bit of a fight there with old Eddie making him earn it.
Oh, yeah, I just remembered that finish for Shelby 66. Shelby 66
Shelby's
on the rails. What about Jacquino today? Jacquino in action at Flemington. What a colt.
Yeah, he's special, isn't he? So we saw a glimpse of him in Sydney, our last campaign in terms of the Golden Rose, but he's gone right on with the job. So he's drawn a little bit wide, but he'll balance up and he'll be screaming home at the finish. So what else have we got here in Sydney? We've got the Canterbury Stakes, so we get to see a Kiwi in Peritriz. I think a lot of punters out there would have no idea how to line her form up, and I think that's fair enough because she hasn't left New Zealand shores yet. So first time in Australia, but she comes off an amazing win in New Zealand last start, so keen to see her at the races. And the Randwick Guineas today, I was keen on Osipenko, so I'm left scratching my head a little bit with him. So he goes towards the George Ryder and then the Doncaster. I think that's plan B. Where does that leave us now? I think Zoo Tiger could run a race here for John O'Shea. So what you see is what you get. He'll roll forward, he'll make his own luck and control his own destiny from there.
Yeah.
Just quickly before we let you go, Brad, who's your roughie for today?
Yeah, Ruffy's for me comes up in race 4, Sir Lucan. Now, we haven't seen him since the 2021 Melbourne Cup, so 70 weeks on the sidelines, but trained by Gai Waterhouse, Adrian Bott. He'll be nice and fit and ready to do something. And race 9 is a race for the mares. Roots is hard enough to beat, but I think if you're having a trifecta, you're having a first 4, even a quaddie, include Pink Ivory. She's currently $51. I think that's crazy odds, especially if this track starts firming up, and we'll save our best for the lucky last. Race 10, Sky Command for Gerald Ryan. Straight to the front, and they won't see which way she went.
I know you've got to go do some modelling work down there at Miranda Fair, so we will catch you next week.
I wish. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. The road to the championships continues this weekend with Maruya hosting the Southeast Heat. And we go live now to Executive Officer from the Maruya Jockey Club, Ken Brown. Good morning to you, Ken.
Good morning, Julie. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're very good. I want to hear about the track because I've got Prince Nakoni racing tomorrow with Danny Williams.
Yeah, at the moment, soft 7. We've still got a little bit of showers out there at the moment, but it's only, it's very, very light and misty rain. It's just not enough to dry off the track, that's all.
It is a big day for the club. How have preparations been and what are you making of this field for the championships heat?
Oh, what a field we've got. Really excited when we saw all the noms come in for this field. Probably one of the strongest championships, I believe, I've seen over this calendar year. Preparations have been fantastic here at the track. We're rolling at the moment. We've got a heap of marquees booked. We'll have some great entertainment on track. So we've got the jazz band as you walk in. We've got a DJ there for a party zone basically here. Plenty of great food. We're going to be showcasing some of the best food of the coast here as well as some of the best beverages here as well.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like your cup of tea.
Well, I know. I wish I could cryovac some of it and send it up here because I've got to work tomorrow. But look, it sounds like a ripping day. Just quickly, Kenny, I know we're done for time a bit, but how much of all the incentives that Racing New South Wales have brought in for country racing helped you and people around what you do?
I think from a club's perspective, it definitely means that we get better horses down in our area. I think that's one of the better things. For our local trainers, it's good for them to go up and compete in Sydney. Like, your highways are a fantastic development, and having extra prize money as incentives there keeps people going here. So it's really, I think it is good for country racing, and hopefully it just grows the sport in our regional areas.
The great thing is, last week we spoke to Albury and they were saying the same thing, that they've had such a strong field. So there's already been 5 qualifying races, 7 races, 2 wild cards, and of course that final worth $500,000 here at Randwick in April. Who's your tip for today's heat?
Tomorrow's heat, I think Test State of Silence. I really like it, but I'm hoping Iconic Dame also goes really well, as it's our local hope from here.
Yeah, and have a look for that benchmark race with Prince Nakoni. About $8, $9, something just a little bit each way, Kenny, because I think second up, he may just do the trick. Thanks for coming on the program, and all the best to you and everyone at Maria. Julie and I will get down there soon and have a cold libation with you.
Yeah, beautiful. Look forward to hosting you.
They do such a good job, these country tracks, and it's so great to see everyone coming back trackside, and they're getting the DJs and the marquees and all the food vans.
I wouldn't mind just doing a year's show of going to racetrack to racetrack every day.
I'm fine with that. My husband can babysit, not a drama at all. Thank you very much to our sponsors, of course, Racing New South Wales, Arrowfield. We appreciate your support. And again, thank you to all our guests today. What a sensational show we had. We did. We had a wonderful show, from the girls with Ruby Kisses to Eduardo sitting on the shoulder of Joe Pride. We really appreciate everyone who makes themselves available for this program, because we love it. And we're going to see you next week. Happy punting today.